You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness.
We can deport violent, illegal criminals. That makes a lot of sense.
I continue to believe Mr. Trump will not be president.
Obama was not the president for this system.
Do you think that House Democrats and Senate Democrats should try to cooperate with Donald Trump
if he tries to kick people off their health insurance? We're going to have a Youngstown street fight.
The American people, they voted against Hillary. They voted against this administration.
We pledge allegiance to one flag, and that flag is the American flag.
Welcome to the Abolitionists Roundtable, your all-access pass to the 2017 Red, White, and Blue Conservative Revolution. Join the conversation at 734-822-1600. Now, here are your hosts, Del Marsh, Phil Stargell, and Janice Daniels.
And good morning. This is Phil Stargell of the Abolitionist Roundtable of Michigan, better known as Art of Michigan. And today we are going to acknowledge one of the best marches that has happened in this country, the March for Life. What was that? What day was that? Friday the...
What have you been honoring this
27th,
all week? Yeah, all week they've been celebrating.
Yeah, but you know,
life.
The reason why I say it's one of the greatest marches is because we have the top echelon of the government that is backing him, and he gave his word that that he to those people that were marching there, and I wanted to go, but different things happened, and so I just sit back and watch this one, and. The thing that I admire most is that President Trump and Vice President Pence actually made a statement that you could believe in. The last Republican president, George W. Bush, he made some statements, and I don't think that they were heartfelt, even though I believe that he is a pro-life person. I believe that he believes that the unborn have rights, but I think he could have done more. And the reason why I say that is because it's one of the things that makes this country so divided. It's one of the reasons why you have people like Ashley Judd saying the things that she said, Madonna saying the things that she said, because people haven't made a definitive statement and backed it up with the power that they have. We seem to have a problem with the issue around right to life, that we're only going to intrude so far into this horrid idea that the abortion on demand is some kind of a right. What happened to the right of that unborn child? There is nobody in government up until now that would even say that they had a commitment to putting an end to this particular way that we are acting out this right that was dreamed up by the Supreme Court. So the reason why I'm saying that is George Bush made this a right of women instead of looking at taking away the right of the infant. And he deferred some of his power to the will of his wife and his mother. Laura Bush was I guess you'd call it pro-choice. And so was the elder Bush, George Bush's mother. And so it always appeared that he was trying to walk that thin line between disappointing personal things and disappointing people about personal things in his family. And so he didn't make a definitive statement that this particular procedure should come to an end. And whenever you say that, people go to saying, well, that's my right, and I'll fight to the death for that right. But I think that we've just forgotten that somebody's already paid that right to death in full with what is it, 55 million, and that would be a low number. But those are the numbers that are being used, but we never actually use the numbers of certain sectors of the country. So California doesn't go into the official record as to how many people have been aborted in that state over the last 45 years. So we might be using very, very inaccurate numbers as to how many infants have been aborted over the last 45 years. So I know when I direct this question to people that are really and truly pro-life, we get a much different answer. And so I'm going to direct that question to our resident pro-life specialist or expert.
Well, I'm a woman anyway,
Yeah.
and so I have a more intimate and personal relationship with the issue. And again, I say I was blessed never to have an abortion. And in fact, when I look at my boy who's 25 years old now, and if him and his girlfriend ever talk about the issue, I say, you can thank me for not murdering you.
Yeah.
Because many, many, many children are born into situations that are not right, that are not perfect for having a child. There is no perfect time to have a child except the time that you are gifted with a child.
Exactly
That's
right.
the way I look at it.
And if you don't believe that, try talking to someone that's trying desperately
to have a child who cannot.
Yeah.
That is so true. That is so
and
true.
I've talked to several, and I tell you, it is really heartbreaking. It's a tragedy.
It is a tragedy. While I was listening to you, Phil, I was looking at this website called the Daily Signal, and they have an article posted, 24 eye-catching signs from the 2007 March for Life, and they have some great signs. These people who were present at this rally, and I give honor to all of them for taking the time out of their busy lives to be there. One of the signs says, because abortion stops one heart and breaks another.
Yes.
There's always two people,
Yes.
the mother and the child. And in fact, we have to give acknowledgement to the father, because although the father has always been taken out of the equation, it's his child too.
Yes. And the thing about it is that there are lots of men that are really behind this for their own reasons, and that makes a real problem, because there are a lot of men that would crawl over glass and to try to stop a woman from aborting their child. But those voices are very rarely heard, because there is a movement that if you can't have a baby, then you need to shut up. And I've been told that.
Yeah, see, well, that's just, again, the inaccurate focus on what is right and what is wrong. Another one of these signs, that sign that says I'm with him or I'm with stupid, or it's got an arrow pointing next to the person next to you or towards the person next to you. This sign has an arrow pointing downward to a fetus in a womb, and it says I'm with her. So we've got to remember, these are women that are being aborted. These are men that are being aborted, and that is the bottom line. And I thank God that in 2017 we have come to the realization that it is a human being from the moment of conception.
Yes.
As you had pointed out, 58 million of our citizens have been murdered in the past 45 years? 58 million people. Think of what could have happened with our economy with that many new workers.
Well, and I particularly am appalled at those numbers, but the numbers, statistically, that's a lot of numbers. But look at the amount when you come into the black community. The numbers are staggering, and then they are absolutely genocidal because it's proven to be genocidal because of the fact that were it not for the abortion issue, the population of black Americans in this country would be on the order of 95 to 100 million. Were it not for the abortion numbers.
It's a sad fact in many areas of our society, of our existence as humanity, not just America, because of all countries who have defended the right to life for all races. It is America, and we always get blamed for being the racist country, the bigots, the homophobes, when in fact this country has been founded on the belief that all men are created equal, and so much good has come about as a result of America's focus on equal rights.
In particular, the intentions of people like Hyde, the senator from Illinois, when he put the amendment in that no taxpayer dollars should go for abortion, and that's been thrown overboard. I mean, there are tremendous amounts of money that are going for abortion, especially with Obamacare.
Right.
But that particular law was pushed by Senator Hyde because of the fact that he said that was the only way I could have an effect on the actual numbers. If you begin to allow the government to fund something as tragic as this, those numbers would be probably, when they're talking about 42-43% of the children that are black that are aborted every year, between 40 and 50% of all black newborns are aborted. And so that was the only way, because there's nothing that he can do to stop a person that has the money from getting an abortion.
Right.
So that the Democrats in turn turned it around and said that was because of racism.
Of course.
That he did this.
Yeah, of course.
And this is why it's so caustic. The effect that the identity politics have had on our political situation in this country. What I want to do is I want to clear the board. So we have some calls, and I want to clear them out, and then I want to get to our sound bites. And but I want to continue on this particular subject. So we're going to go to line 1, and that would be what's that? I can't see who that is on there. Would you put him up, Derek?
It's Joe.
Okay, Joe. Okay, good morning, Joe.
Good morning, guys. How's it going?
Good morning. How you doing this morning?
I'll say good morning, even though I'm not a guy, but that's cool.
Well, I threw in Gallon there.
Oh, did you?
Missed it, but yeah,
Thank you.
Sorry.
No apology necessary.
I'm not normally up this time on Saturdays, but when I am, I absolutely always need to tune into Abolitionist Roundtable. So,
well, I am glad. Have another cup of coffee with us.
But the abortion issue, I wanted to tie Stabenow into this. But first, since you're throwing out numbers, I mean, the majority of Americans, if not necessarily opposing abortion, definitely oppose things like partial birth abortion and late-term abortions. But Democrats, of course, always oppose that. They always say they want it safe and rare, which is obviously a lie. I mean, the numbers reflect, they always talk about rape, incest, and the life of the mother. And I saw these statistics on Facebook the other day. I don't remember them exactly, but, I mean, it's clearly way under, like 3%, any of those cases that it's even claimed to take part that an abortion occurs.
Right, that's that straw issue, basically, where they make the grand statement based upon a small little sliver of the problem.
Yes, in reality, it's probably less than the 1% that's actually rape or incest.
So, Joe, what did you want to say about Senator Stabenow?
Well, of course, now, Senator Stabenow is up in midterms 2018. And we need to make sure everybody is aware. I just posted, I've got a Facebook group, facebook.com/groups. Thanks a lot, Debbie, THXALOTDEBIE, meant sarcastically, because she's got nothing that we would thank her for, about how in the last election cycle she was up. She was number 2 in monies received from Emily's List. And for people who don't know what that is, you can explain it to them later. And she's likely to be up there again because she is one of the top abortion on demand at any time, for any reason, and by any means type of persons that the Emily's List crowd wants to protect and ensure stays in office. And we've got a Supreme Court nominee that's going to be up. We need another senator that would be in here for future Supreme Court nominees in order to help get a pro-life judge on the Supreme Court.
Well, Joe, this is exactly what you are doing, exactly what needs to be done, and I hope that people take the example that you're setting and continue to look down that road, because people like Debbie Stabenow have an advantage going into every election, especially in Michigan, because we just seen a revolution happen, but people can get complacent, and if they do, we need people like yourself that will be willing to say, wait a minute, you can't, fall down now. Stand up and keep going. We have got a goal that we're going to reach, and we're not going to stop until we get there. Joe, I really appreciate your efforts.
You mentioned complacency, and some people think, well, midterms 2018, that's a long way off. Yes. No, it's not. We cannot rest on our laurels now. Some people say, well, get back to me when we have a candidate ourselves. That's the wrong approach.
Exactly.
Now is the time to point out her record when the Democrats do not have a candidate of ours to try to nitpick apart and deflect upon. It is all about her and her record and her having to defend it.
Well, Joe, we are back behind you 100%, and whatever we can do, just give us the word, and we're there. I want to get to the rest of these calls, Joe, and continue to get up with us in the morning on Saturday, because you got a message that needs to be heard. Thanks again. We're going to go to line 2, and we have Bruce. Good morning, Bruce.
Good morning, Phil. Good morning, Del.
Good morning.
Good morning, Janice. Glorious day. Just kind of basking in the afterglow of a tremendous event yesterday. I'll tell you what a difference a week makes, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Oh my goodness. I'll tell you what Joe was right. Was quoting about these statistics and the stuff that I found about Planned Parenthood and researching for my book was that their own information gathering arm, the Guttmacher Institute, estimates that only 2%, guys, of all abortions are performed ostensibly for rape or incest, that type of thing. So that means the overwhelming majority of these procedures are elective.
Exactly.
And speaking of these procedures, very few people, and I understand there were some survivors of actual abortions that were there, even though I didn't get a chance to see or hear it. But I saw a stunning video the other day. I don't know if you guys may have come across it. If you had, you probably would have mentioned it. But I was kind of scrolling through Facebook, and I came across an actual survivor of an abortion, a little tiny baby. I could not believe it, guys. It was no bigger than your index finger. I don't know if it was a little boy or a little girl, but the force of life was just coursing through this child's body, and he was responding to the touch of the person who was holding it in the palm of her hand. Just amazing. And you know, I wish that people like Stabenow and Levin and Warren and Durbin and all these jerks, these murderous. Well, I'm not going to use a word to describe. These murderous people could be forced to sit down and watch a video like this, and just have it drummed into their heads that this is indeed life.
Yes, it is. Life
that does begin at conception. And another thing, guys, for these women who are running around last week with all these weird appendages, depicting parts of their body, saying don't grab this, don't grab that. What they ought to do is watch another video that I saw, a video of what takes place in a Muslim country that is ruled by Sharia law, female genital mutilation. Yes. Maybe they would stop. Maybe they might stop and think for a while. What do you think about that, guys?
No, I don't think so. They have a history. They believe in a ideology. They've been influenced by this part. The Democrat Party has poisoned the minds of millions of young people. Mm-hmm. They poison their mind with pornography, with violence, with this anti-Americanism, anti-family, anti-God, religion, hatred. It's a hatred of fatherhood. It's a hatred of motherhood. Yeah. And so it's a hatred of the heterosexual process that God created. Remember in Jeremiah, in the book of Jeremiah, says that I knew thee before thou were formed in the womb, and I brought thee before the nations. So God had already, he knew us. We said that life start at conception. Well, I'm going to say something different. Life started when God breathed life into the first man. That's when life started. Yeah. Life started. Remember that what goes up that canal of a woman's body is alive. Yes. It swims. It's alive already. And so, but anyway, it's about poisoning the minds of all these young people. And it's a hatred of, again, like I said, fatherhood and motherhood. It's a hatred of everything. And Americans, Democrats this is a part of them restructuring America, redefining our culture through this process right here.
And we're going to play a couple of sound bites after the break, or maybe before the break, of just how poignant what you're saying is. Because the things that these people are saying is absolutely in come out of hate. Yeah,
it's worse than insane. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's a word to describe worse than insane. Is there?
They
God,
celebrate the culture of death.
Do they hate life?
Yeah, they do.
People so is there a dark, cold spot where the soul used to be?
Absolutely, it is
a
dark, cold
guys.
spot.
I like to consider myself a rational person.
Yeah.
Well,
I just don't understand this.
Let me.
44 years.
Your group is having a guest this morning.
Ben Armstrong is coming out for the Tri-County Liberty Coalition. Yeah. That's meeting is at 10 o'clock this morning, and the address is 1812. East 12 Mile. That's for classical music fans, 1812, right? And 1812 East 12 Mile in Royal Oak. That's the corner of Main Street. And we'll be running until about 12 o'clock. And Ben Armstrong from the Ben Armstrong Show will be with us. And we'll be talking about, hopefully, some of the proceedings that took place yesterday and maybe the first 7 days of the Trump administration. Okay, so I'm looking forward to hearing that and seeing that. So hopefully we'll see you guys there.
All right. We'll
Take
give
care,
it a
guys.
try.
Love you.
And we're up against a hard break, and folks, if you'd like to join in this conversation, that number is 734-822-1600, and we'll be back after these messages.
You're listening to the Abolitionists Roundtable, patriotic, red, white, and blue, conservative all-access radio, with your hosts, Del, Phil, and Janice. They're leading the charge and advancing the conservative revolution. Join the conversation at 734-822-1600.
Hello, I'm Milt, and this is, logically speaking, Uncensored. Celebrate reclaiming the land of the free, home of the brave. Under the dictatorship of the Democrat Party, President Ali Obama for 8 years maneuvered the nation toward the plantation of political fascism. And for 8 years, the Democrat Party incarcerated the nation and remanded legal American patriots to solitary confinement to await Hillary Clinton, their coordinated candidate for president, fulfill their mandates of collectivistic indoctrination and ideological programming. With self-conceited confidence, the Democrat Party had no backup plans in the event Hillary lost the election, because they believed she was the unbeatable communistic socialist who would lead the national coup d'etat they had envisioned since their inception in 1827. And her victory would allow them to avenge their Civil War defeat and resurrect their dominance as national slave masters. Black people would be compelled to remain plantation servants through the bondage of welfare entitlements and the culture of victimization dependency. And their aggregated opposition would become their subservient indentured servants, shackled to administrative largesse, government edicts, and debilitating intimidations. With demonic political machinations and the collaborative collusions of a seditionist media and academic overseers, the Democrat Party had managed to convince Americans to reject the melting pot concept as a unifying factor. And with political correct fear-mongering, they persuaded a plurality of Americans to dismiss the laudatory phrase, land of the free, home of the brave, as they endeavored to transform the nation into the land of the enslaved, home of the free. On November 8, 2016, a courageous alpha male named Donald J. Trump proved that American bravery was not dead, as he fearlessly dedicated himself to reclaiming the United States as the land of the free, home of the brave, where the national anthem could be sung with pride, the American flag would be honored, not desecrated, and the Pledge of Allegiance would be revered, not mocked. And the Constitution and the foundation of Christianity, which the nation was built on, would not be removed. Friday, January 20th, 2017, was a day of unprecedented joy as millions of legal Americans celebrated the patriotic bravery of Trump, who triumphed over the vicious assaults of Democrat Party icon Hillary and Hate America First anarchists. And to Democrats who hatefully refused to attend Trump's inauguration, I say thanks for sparing the nation the presence of your toxic incivilities. You were not missed, as we the people, in unity with the 45th President of the United States, Donald Trump, celebrated reclaiming the land of the free, home of the brave. I am Milt, logically speaking, uncensored, saying, think about it and celebrate.
And we are back, and that is a way to get the morning started. So if any of y'all are out there with a little bit of sleep in you, I hope you heard that.
Milt did a good job.
Milt is just right on it. So, folks, We are going to get back to the phone lines, and what I want to do, though, first of all, is say that I'm going to tone back some things, but I just want people to think about this. There is plenty of action in Washington, D.C. Donald Trump is doing what he said he's going to do. But the greatest thing that he's done so far, in my opinion, is to reverse the very first act of Barack Obama and take out that Mexico City.
There you go. I was wondering when you was going to get to it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so if he doesn't do anything for the next 90 days, he did the correct thing, because that was Obama's first move. Is to
well, that pipeline is the
pipeline
is going about that's going about. I mean, here liberals they some we know liberals better than anybody, and it's about saving the planet. So this is they see it's about saving the planet, but everybody drove a car there. Yeah. They say they hate fossil fuel, but I didn't see one bike parked out there with those protesters. Yeah. Second, and so this is liberalism on steroids.
Yeah. And, it's fine for me, but you got to find a different way. Yeah. I'm gonna go to Gary on line 3. And good morning, Gary.
Good morning.
What's up, Gary? Oh, that's Gary, our friend Gary from Roseville. Good morning.
Sir. I am thankful for Pence. I'm thankful to God for Trump.
Yes.
And everything that they represented yesterday. Yep. They said they represented with the march. Mm-hmm. I have a lot to be thankful to God for in that respect in this whole election. I know that they just let the liberals have it, these liberal Democrat baby killers.
That's right.
Yeah, and what we finally can, admire about these two, as far as I'm concerned. But and this whole thing about Planned Parenthood and stuff. I mean, the thing that I hope that conservatives and alike can just protect against the fake news that, before it's over with, they're going to make Planned Parenthood out to be some kind of hospital for women.
Mm-hmm.
Except for what it really is, a baby-killing machine. Mm-hmm. Saying it's, they do a lot more. They do all these services for women, which is
women's services.
Fake news lie that's going out there. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, the whole idea of that type of thinking is to make women's rights some kind of way different than everybody else's rights, just like civil rights are different from all other rights. Yep. We should be concentrating on constitutional rights, not women's rights, not LGBT, LSMFT, whatever rights. We should be concentrating on constitutional rights, because we use the Constitution to bring about these extra rights or special rights. And now it is time to tone them back. It's time because these rights were given to us by legislators. These legislators want to keep these laws in place. They need to be taken off the books. And let's get back to constitutional rights, because one thing for sure, when you are giving out special rights, you are going against the whole concept of a Republican form of government.
Right.
It is ruled by the Constitution, not by special rights. And that's what we have to recognize. And we're going to give you an example, Gary. If you'd like to listen to this, I want you to...
Which one is it? Which one you want to play?
I want to play the...
where you rate it at?
Number 2. Number 1. Derek, would you get key up soundbite number 1 for us, please?
This listen and be a voice. And my job is to shut other white people down when they want to interrupt. My job is to shut other white people down when they want to say, oh no, I'm not prejudiced. I'm a Democrat. I'm accepting. My job is to make sure that they get that they have privilege. And until we shut our mouths and we listen to those people who don't, and we lift our people up so that we all have equity in this country, so that we're all fighting alongside each other, so that we are all on the same page, and we clearly get where we're going, we're not going to break through this.
All right.
Thank you very much, Derek. So what do you think about that?
So that's Sally Boynton Brown.
That is
shut my mouth.
She's running for the DNC chair.
This is typical white guilt and the extreme
typical white
that the white
stupidity,
person
Gary.
attacking white people.
I don't think there's guilt. I think it's stupidity, Gary.
True, that's part of it too, I guess.
Well,
but
liberals do
to
have
attack
guilt.
white people like that,
Yeah.
her own people,
Yeah.
for their free speech. She sits up there and has all the free speech in the world to spew such ridiculous stuff, and that she wants to shut other white people up.
Yeah.
Well, that
whole
is
statement.
That is the whole idea of it. It is to reinforce the idea that special people have special rights.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for your call this morning, Gary, and you keep doing what you're doing, and because we know that you are a friend of this particular program, so keep calling in and keep listening.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you,
Bill,
Gary.
before you take the next call, can I just say I want to endorse Sally Boynton Brown for
the DNC chair?
For the DNC chair. I
Yeah.
think that she would be a good asset, and she should make Keith Ellison. Matter of fact, if those two together are the chair of that party, they would never win another election for the next 50 years.
Well,
they're going to have people exit that party.
yeah, I could see that, but I think that they would win some local elections.
Yeah.
Well, you know
because-
what? The adult generation of the Democrat Party are hopeless cases.
Yes.
We really have to kind of just accept the fact that they are going to be there. We have to educate the youth into what I believe is the proper purpose of the law. And there we go, right back to my buddy Frederick Bastiat,
Yes.
who wrote the pamphlet, The Law, in 1849. I'm telling you, that ought to be required reading for every school child in across this country.
Yeah.
Because that takes away those special rights that you talk about, Phil, and that takes away this stupid role that the legislators take as if they are made of special clay, as if they're above us and their role is to teach us how to be sensitive.
Exactly right. Because the thing is that they are deliberately teaching our children wrong.
That's right. That's right.
And folks, I want to use this as a plug to say we better get some support behind Betsy Voss, because I believe they're going to try to use her as the whipping boy. So we better, we better decide if that's who we want to get behind.
Yeah, well, I'm not so sure it is, because she's
but-
been a lifelong supporter of Common Core,
Common Core, yeah.
and I don't know that she's the right one.
Well, but the thing about it is that they're trying, because they know that they have that little gap between the Republican Party, and so there's a couple of picks that Donald Trump has done, and you can see the opposition by the Democrats. That will tell you that they figure that is where they could make a little inroad here and there.
Well, you know, the interesting thing is that they are promoting the fact that the Democrats are opposed to her, when in fact it's the Stop Common Core people who are opposed to her.
Yes.
And you don't hear that in the media.
Yeah.
What does Donald Trump call the media? The most disgusting
Yeah.
people I've ever.
Yeah.
And it's true. So the fact is that the real opposition to Betsy DeVos is her support of Common Core.
Yeah, no doubt, and the Democrats are trying to exploit it. But see, the thing is that Donald Trump said that he wants to turn it back to the states.
Right.
So as long as that is the policy, then I'm sure Betsy Ross will carry it
Betsy
out.
DeVos, yeah. Well, I'd just as soon have him pick someone who has had a lifetime of opposition to Common Core and Goals 2000 and whatever name changes they have for this communist takeover of our education system. And that's the problem.
They need it bad because 90% of these millennials have absolutely no idea.
That's right.
Of what the whole electoral
constitutional republic is.
Yeah. I mean, they think that the enforcing the law, the rule of law, is some kind of racist trap.
Well, you got to remember, this country is divided. You know, liberals have their own perspective. They're driving into this civil rights, and then on the other side, they're fighting against the Bill of Rights.
Yes,
so, and again, this is how they're
Mm-hmm.
creating their alliances. This is how they're creating their voters. You know, you talked about this years ago that they came up with this homosexual group. Now they're talking about transgenders. They've created a third sex. I was at Myers recently, and it's a third bathroom now.
Oh boy!
It's a third bathroom now, and it says gender neutral.
Oh boy!
Wow. I was somewhere where there was a family bathroom. Men, women, and family, and that was probably the coward's way out of appeasing the bullies.
So that's what we have to do. We have to stand up and figure out what hill we're going to stand on to fight.
Or what toilet we're going to sit on to fight.
What throne.
Excuse me.
We're going to go to line one. Cindy from Hazel Park. Good morning, Cindy.
Good morning, everyone. I wanted to talk to you about the Mexico City bill that he rescinded. Mm-hmm. We have a landmark law that is Roe versus Wade, but nowhere in there does it state that we are to force that law, on the rest of the world.
That's true.
And doing so is basically committing genocide for the rest of the world.
That's very
and we're
true.
Paying for it.
Right. Federal funds should not be used, first of all, for abortions in the United States, but second of all, you're absolutely right, should not be used to fund abortions around the world. It's almost embarrassing that a law like that would even be on the books.
Yeah. I agree.
Exactly.
Again, we have to understand liberalism. Again, they believe that we're destroying the planet because I drove my car here today. I'm destroying the planet. So their ultimate goal. These are communists, you know, and they're trying to bring about this communist revolution. And so we have to be mindful that there's a divide in this country, and we cannot. You know, the liberals now.
We have a divide on many fronts.
Absolutely.
With the illegals being here and not wanting to break up the families.
Yeah.
That is so redundant.
Well, liberals are using that.
Every day
this
in
is
America
a talking point.
and across the world, we break up families. We put mothers and fathers in jail.
Yeah.
And we break up their families. What is anyone saying about breaking up their families? They don't, because it is what needs to be done.
Well, it's part of their agenda. Our welfare laws break up families.
Exactly right.
That's true too.
Kick that man out the house.
Yep.
And so if we want to, strengthen our pro-life position, we have to promote strong families. Stronger the family, the more intact the family. My mother had 5 kids. I had a sister that died after she was only 3 or 4 days old. But and so I can go back to my grandmother, my mother's mother, parents, having 12 kids. My father's had 8 kids, and my father had 12. And so, but the father was there. They got married, and so and this is no disrespect to anybody, but if a young lady, if the guy is not making a commitment to her then they're going to make a decision. She's going to make a decision. So we have to promote this family, strengthen that family. Again, it's a poison of liberals right now that's anti-fatherhood and anti-motherhood. We have to understand that, and this is realistic.
And there was a thought that there was no more noble profession than motherhood. Today we trample all over that. Thanks a lot for your call this morning. And don't be a stranger. Call us again.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And that's what Ashley Judd was talking about. I mean, just
right.
that hatred of family, hatred of motherhood.
Well,
it's a hatred for it.
We're going to go to Gary. Well, we got a lot of Garys.
Gary.
We're going to go to Gary from Hazel Park. Good morning, Gary.
Good morning, folks. Wasn't that a great call you just had?
Yes.
My lovely wife.
Oh, you gotta be kidding.
Wonderful.
Hey, listen, I want to talk about Gloria Steinem.
Yes.
I know that's a dirty word, but because all this goes back to her and the feminazis who turned virtue and virginity and chastity into dirty words.
Yes.
Because they wanted to be equal to men. And the easiest and most profound way to tell the difference is to see a pregnant woman. They're obviously different.
Is that beautiful?
Correct. And of course, there's always the spiritual part of it, because when you see a woman and child, the Madonna obviously comes to mind to any Catholic or any Christian, because woman and child, which is ingrained in humanity, you can't get around that. But they wanted men and women to be equal, so they had to get abortion on demand, so they could slaughter the children, so that women and men could be equal and be just sluts if they want to be.
Well, Gary, I'm going to give you a little personal thing. I had children by two different ladies, and I can tell you that it was something that I noticed in both my children's mothers. That on the day that they delivered and during that time that they were before delivery, they actually took on this glow that I couldn't explain.
All right, I've seen that.
Yeah, it is absolutely amazing, and it's something that, man, I tell you, it just brings joy to you to see that glow in that woman when she's in that process of birth. It is a phenomenal a point in life. I'll tell you, it is just something that I will never forget.
To feel that glow is equally as nice. Let me tell you, because I knew it, I saw it, I felt it, and it was wonderful. The two most precious days of my life are the days I gave birth to my sons.
We've got 2 minutes, and I'm going to get the last call in. And we got Gary from Ann Arbor. Good morning,
Hi,
Gary.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, I know, real quick, short time here. But I appreciate everything that was said today. In regard to Cindy's call, she referred to Roe versus Wade as a law. I don't believe it is. I want you to just comment on that. It was a judicial opinion. That's why we're able to go after it again and overturn it. In the last comment is, God has given humans the ability not only to reproduce a human life, that human life is an eternal life.
Yes.
We need to consider that. People don't know that.
Okay, thanks a lot, Gary.
Thank you so
I want to quickly say that, yes, it is a judicial opinion, and that is why there has been opposition. It is time to consider the other part of that equation, the child, that unborn child. His rights have to be protected.
Yeah, another poster, no law can give me the right to do what is wrong.
All right, folks, we're still in our fundraising month. You don't mind going to our website at artofmichigan.com, artofmichigan.com, and we need your support.
And, folks, we will be doing a lot this year on fundraising. So again, if you got some time, sit down and write that check. Abolitionist Roundtable.
Art of Michigan, Post Office Box 135, Garden City, Michigan 48135.
Or follow Phil, Del, and Janice at artofmichigan.com. You can also send emails to artofmichigan@hotmail.com. And most of all, continue to listen every Saturday and tell a friend.